Welcome back to art classes with me, and today might be the second to last live event for our art classes with school children gradually going back to school again. So preps 1s, 2s and years 11s and 12s started today in Victoria, and then the rest of the year levels start in 2 weeks time. So I guess you older kids, your older primary school children, you will maybe have mum or dad or carer to yourself a little bit more with your younger siblings off to school. So I hope you can join me. If not, then I will be putting it up on YouTube later, so you'll be able to check it out then. So for those of you just joining me, we are going to be drawing with markers and then painting with water. So an interesting combination, and it's lots of fun. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be drawing a koala, and for those of you that may have another idea, then by all means you can draw to your heart's content. So you can draw whatever animal or whatever scene that you wish. But I thought I would draw a koala because they are gorgeous. Okay, we're going to start off with basic shapes, which is what I teach my students. All of your drawing can come from basic shapes that we're most familiar with. Just makes all of the rough drawing, the initial block in, like your guidelines, much easier if you get those down first, and then you can start putting in the detail. So what we're going to do is we're going to start about halfway up your paper, and again we're working with A4 paper. I'm using a thicker drawing paper, and I've got a grey lead pencil, an eraser, coloured markers, and I've got a paintbrush and water, and that's all you're going to need today. So back to our drawing. Now remember, just use light lines, draw light until it's right, or in this case you only need to draw light the whole time. So this is almost a circle, not quite. Let's see, it's a little bit wider at the top, narrower at the bottom. Okay, sort of a mix between maybe a circle, an oval and a triangle, if you can imagine that mixture. So we've got that, and then I'm going to do some curved lines coming out the top, starting near the center. And they're going to be the top part of my koala's ears. And then we can come around and then back in around the middle of the head. I have them going in a little bit more. That's it. I probably drew my head a little bit too big. His ears are getting a little bit squished now, so I'll just have to make them a bit smaller. Let's just get rid of those bits. So then you can see my shapes. Oh, that one looks like an earlobe. Oh well, you'll be able to tell. There we go. So there's our rough ear shapes and our head. Now, I'm going to make a mark about halfway down, and then probably about a third of the way up from the bottom. So you can see those two lines. They're going to be our guidelines as to where we put the eyes, the nose and the mouth. Okay, so the nose is almost an oval, but it's like an egg shape actually. It's narrow at the top and then wider at the bottom. There you go, like an egg. Now our eyes. Our eyes are similar we'll make them similar in shape to human eyes. Human's eyes are kind of almond shaped, but or football shaped. These ones we're going to make a little bit wider, as in, well, the height, the width. Okay, there you go, you can see those there. And we're going to put large circles in there for the iris. And for the mouth, we're going to have it coming out here up a little bit, and then there's sort of like a chin, sort of different coloured fur underneath. You can see that kind of looks like a big lip or a big smile. Kind of makes sense at the end though, trust me. Okay, then we're going to put in some shoulders, and we're just going to put in light lines where we're going to have different coloured fur, and then up the top here where the top of the ear folds over. So I'll explain it to you. So having these lines here, which don't go all the way to the edge, but that's showing that's the top of the ear folded over, and this is the inside of the ear. Okay, and you can see there also what I've done with the shoulders and the chest fur. Now, we don't really need any more pencil lines on there than that. Oh, actually we do. The nostrils. The nostrils, how would I explain those shapes? They're like long, skinny 6s and 9s. Okay, it's like they've been squashed. You see that? Long, skinny 6s and 9s. So you draw the numbers, just make them nice and squashed. Now, markers. So with our markers, we're not going to draw over these lines, because if we were to draw over the lines, that would suggest that the edge of the koala is very smooth and flat like skin. But we all know that koalas are quite furry, so they have lots of sticking out bits, kind of like grass has sticking out bits. That's not flat and smooth either. So fur, so we're going to do short strokes. So you put your marker down, draw, and you kind of lift it up. And what that does is it actually makes your lines start thick where you start your line, and then it makes it thin and light and feathery at the ends where you take your marker off the page. Okay, you can also see how I've got all of my lines going in a similar direction, and I'm kind of following the shape of the ear. So I'll do the other side as well. So again, following the shape of the ear. It's a little bit trickier doing one side compared to the other side. Okay, now I'll show you these. Just make some feathery ones stick out a little bit. Even them up a bit. Okay, so there you can see the tops of the ears done. Okay, so I'm just using my pencil lines as our guidelines. Now for the insides of the ears, I'm going to make my lines a little bit longer, and again I'm following in the shape and the direction of the ear. So I'm not making my lines go here, there and everywhere. I'm just doing them in the one direction. Now again, we need some coming off the edge of the ear, so we're just following the line around, and you can see there. See them how I've got short lines coming out from the edge of the ear all the way around. Okay, so we'll do that on the other side now. So long pieces of fur inside the ear, and then short ones near the edge, and following the shape around, following the ear shape. Okay, so there is my ears done. Now we're going to work on the head. So we're just going to take our fur lines all the way around the edge of the head shape. I might change markers, that one's nearly run out. All the way around. Okay, there we go, all the way around. Now what we might do before we continue is we're just going to draw over our nose. So this time we are going to draw over our lines, because koalas don't have furry noses, so we need to follow the nose outline shape. So you can see I've followed the egg shape. Now I'm going to go over my 6s and 9s. And then I'm going to do my eyes. Go around the outline. And I'm going to draw over my circles. I'm actually going to colour those circles in, but I'll show you before I start. So there's the outline of my circles. Now to make my koala look like he's got a glint in his eye, makes it look like he's got a bit of life to him, we're going to leave a patch of white, not for the pupil, but as a highlight. So you can see there where I've made a little circle up near the top of the large circle. What we're going to do is we're going to leave that part white and we're going to colour around the rest of it. Okay, there we go. You can see that he has a bit of life to him already. It's amazing what colouring in the eyes actually does. Okay, now the mouth, I'm going to do this part. And the rest, that little chin part or the bottom of his mouth, I'm not going to follow over those lines with black. I'll save those and I'll show you what we'll do shortly. Now, I'm just going to add a little bit more fur, kind of in lines, but you'll be able to see how I've still done a row of short lines for the fur, but you can see how I've still got them all going in a similar direction. Okay, kind of looks like he's got wrinkles in his forehead at the moment. Okay, so a few more lines in rows. And we might have some coming around here because they are very furry. And we might have some coming out the top of the nose, and then we might have a few that look like eyebrows. There we go. You can see how I've followed the shape of the head with my lines. So I've followed the shape around here, and then a few around the top of the nose. Looks like he's got an eyebrow. I've followed those rows up the top. Now a few more for his shoulders. And then just a few in there. Now I'll show you, actually we might, I'll fix that shortly. There we go. So there's all of the black lines for his fur. We're going to use 2 more colours. Okay, we are going to use some brown because they're not strictly all grey. They usually have a bit of brown in them too. So again, we're just going to follow the shape of our head. Probably don't have to add as many lines with the brown, but still following in a similar direction. Okay, inside. Tops of the ears. I might add a bit of extra brown there because the tops of the ears can be quite dark. And better remember his shoulders. I'll show you in a sec. I'm basically just going over similar areas to what I've already done, so I didn't think I needed to show you too much. Oh, actually, I was going to go around the eyeball in this. So just a single line. Okay, there you go. So you can see all of my brown lines for the fur. So I've basically just covered the same area that I already had our black lines for the fur. And you can see how I've done a single brown line around the black parts of the eyes. Now we're going to add a little bit of pink, because you often see a little bit of pink in their ears, on the insides of their ears. So just a little bit. Now white fur under here, so I'll just add a little bit of pink to suggest that we can see the skin. Now I'm just going to draw a line under here. Okay, you can see that I've drawn a pink line under there. Don't worry, it's not lipstick or anything, but you'll be able to see once we add water, it will just help to show a bit of pink of a suggestion for the skin behind the fur. Now I'm just going to add a bit of fur over the pink there. Okay, I think we are just about ready for water. I think I've got everything there. This is the fun bit. Okay, so I have my water, I have my paintbrush. I also have, you could use a cloth or a sponge or a bit of paper towel or a scrap of newspaper. I use it just to get rid of the excess water. Sometimes you end up with big blobs on your page, which you may not want. So what we're going to do is we're still going to continue using the similar strokes as what we did with our markers. So what we're not going to do is we're not going to put our paintbrush in and just rub it over the whole lot as though we're painting a large area. What we're going to do is we're going to take our lines and go over them with our paintbrush. You can even, as I have started to do, take your lines out further than when we've done the ear, and that will help to give you more of a furry or feathery effect around the edge. Okay, you can see how the markers actually dissolve. Probably a key bit of information that I forgot to mention at the start is that you really need definitely not permanent markers, because this will not work with permanent markers. What you need is water soluble markers. So they're usually children's markers, because just means that if you get markers on furniture, walls, hopefully not, or clothing or hands, it should wash off, okay? So that means that they dissolve in water, which means that they're great for doing projects like this, okay? Now I'll just do the other ear and then I'll show you again how it's working. So give it more feathers, feathery edges, so it looks more furry. Okay, I think I probably should have done a few more lines for the ears, but that's okay. You'll be able to see what they look like anyway. So the more marker that you draw on your page initially, then the more colour you're going to get spreading out on your page once you start adding water, okay? So if you want darker areas, then you add more marker. If you want lighter areas, less marker, okay? What I really like is when you add probably a little more water than you actually need and it starts all moving around and you get these beautiful effects like we're starting to get with the top of this ear. Okay, so you can see the ears are done. Now we're going to move on to the nose. Now you'll notice that even though koalas have dark noses, we only gave our koala an outline. What we're going to do is just going to take our paintbrush around the edge, but keep it on the inside of the nose shape. We only want the marker for the nose dissolving into the nose. We don't want it dissolving out of the nose, okay? So we're trying to create, oh, I should have coloured his little nostrils in. Oh well. Oops, paintbrush slipped outside the edge. That's not where we want it. And again, as we did with the eyes, we're going to leave a white bit at the top just as a highlight, as though that's where the light is hitting the nose. Okay, makes it seem a bit more realistic. Okay, there you can see the nose. Probably should have coloured in the nostrils as well in the black. That's okay, you can make sure you do that. Okay, now just going to go over the edges of these eyes and take it into the white part of the eyes. Not the highlight, but the white parts of the eyes, because we don't want them too white. You'll notice when you look at koala photos or images, they actually don't have too much white showing of their eyes, not like us humans. All right, there we go. See the eyes. Now I'm just going to go over the rest of his head, taking our lines out. Suggests that he's nice and furry. And again, I'm just following in the same directions. Short strokes with my brush, reloading with water every now and then when my brush seems to start getting a little bit dry. So you can see I'm being quite systematic. So I'm starting at the top and I'm sort of working along the rows. Oh, now I'm sort of gone around the edges a bit. Coming back to his forehead. Try not to go over the eyes at this stage. Bit of fur above the nose. And around under the eye. Takes a little bit of time, but it's kind of fun. So just continuing around. We might actually go under the mouth here, under the nose. And just bring some of the fur out. And finish off this side. Around the edges. Now what you can do with yours, if you wish, is before you even got to this stage, if you wanted to, you could even add some leaves in the background. Or if you've got a different animal, think about the environment that your animal likes to live in. And you could do a similar effect. So you could do leaves and maybe just do the outline and the veins of the leaf and then go over it with your paintbrush, filling it in. You give a blossom if it likes living in trees like the koala does. So flowers. There we go. There's our koala. He's a cute little fella. So yeah, you could even, I know some artists, watercolour artists, give some of their animals a flower crown. So you could do some flowers up here, give it a similar effect. You could do leaves in the background. Possibilities are endless, guys. But have fun, because it is so much fun to do. It's amazing what you can do with limited supplies. So, I reckon off you go. Have a go yourself, and I would love to see the results. And so if you would like to, you can pop them in the comments below on our Facebook Live, or you can direct message me if you would prefer. And I would love to see them. Okay, so thanks guys, bye, see you next week.